we're actually going to start out with a quick sim. So if you click that, you have two options here as far as finding information. One, you can find yourself in the armory. It'll pull up all your talents and even give you a chance to change them if you've screwed something up. And then it's going to also show you all the gear that you had on the last time you logged out. Now, this is a great option if you maybe are at work on your lunch break or on your phone doing something and you don't have access to the game and what you logged out in last was perfectly fine. This option here, load from armory, is good for everything. So it's good for everything except the top gear. Top gear or best in bags, you actually need the information from your character because it shows Raidbots what you actually have in your bags. So we'll cover that next. But right now, just for the quick sim, this load for armory is fine. I personally, if I'm parked in front of my computer and I'm not out and about, I do like to grab the latest information from my character. So the way that works is we're going to switch back to World of Warcraft. So here I am again. It's so nice. Now you should see kind of towards the bottom-ish middle of your screen, I've magnified my command line. So in order to bring up, assuming you already have the Simulation Craft add-on installed and it's ready to go, the command is SimC. You hit that and you get this window that pops up. It's pretty neat. It's got all the information about what you've currently got going on with your character, and then at the bottom it's got the gear that's in your bags. Now they're serious when they say from bags. This is not gear from your bank. This is not gear if you're going like old school and you got some stuff in void storage. It's not going to pick up any of that. This is actual gear in bags. So if you've got some legendaries stashed in your bank or whatever, you need to have them with you. Now, I am ridiculous and I'm a pack rat and I carry a ton of stuff around with me. I don't think most people do that though. So this is your information that you're going to grab from your Simulation Craft add-on. In order to grab it, you're going to do Control-C to copy. Then we're going to switch back to Raidbots, and you're just going to Control-V and paste it in there. Now, if you notice when you paste that data in, it actually overrides whatever you had gotten from the armory, which is totally fine. So this is kind of just your basic, here's my character, I want to know how much DPS I can do. But before we get there, I want you to look at the simulation options. It's closed right now, but if you open it, it gives you kind of some settings. If you never change anything except one setting in your whole entire life, I would prefer that you change it from weekly to nightly. This will help, this gets you the absolute latest version of your class and spec. If there's anything crazy, some nerfs, some hot fixes that happen, anything like that, it will usually be caught in the nightly and not necessarily the weekly. So if you don't do anything else, please change that to nightly. A couple other things I just want you to be aware of is all the simulations that we're going to do tonight are going to be single target, which is considered patchwork. Now, everything that we're going to do is going to be identical if you're going to do it for AoE. If you guys aren't you haven't been around for a while, Patchwork was a boss in Naxxramas. He had a hard 6-minute enrage. You basically stood there, you DPS'd your tiny little heart out, and really there wasn't anything else going on. So this is like your pure single target guy. There's not a lot of recent comparisons. That's why we're still using Patchwork. The closest that I see lately, at least for as close to single target as you can get, would be like Goroth in Tomb. You still have the pillars to deal with and some stuff like that, but if you dial it down and you maybe do an LFR, it would get you close to what this Patchwork would be like. The other option, I'm not going to go through all these options because honestly it's a little too much, but if you want to do an AoE style, I would recommend the Hectic Ad Cleave. So Horadon, he was that dinosaur in Throne of Thunder. He had all those troll buddies that would run out. This is very similar, I would say, to Scorpieron in Nighthold, or even Mistress Shazine in Tomb. She doesn't have a constant onslaught of ads, but they're pretty frequent, and you have to move a lot. So again, if you're going to look at AoE, I would try the Hectic Ad Cleave, but everything we're going to do for tonight is going to be the single target. Now, I see this question a lot in the Hunter Discord. How long should my fight length be? Honestly, 5 minutes is all the fights in Tomb right now except Kill Jaden. Kill Jaden is more like a 9-minute fight, but he's got that intermission where he just eats popcorn and watches us die to whatever crap's on the floor. So I don't know if I'd call that a true 9-minute fight. I mean, it's not like you can do anything. So for my personal preference, I just leave it on 5 minutes, and I think that's totally reasonable for 99% of the bosses that we're doing right now. Just for your information, the APL, that is if your particular class and spec has some beef with the rotation or other aspects, the details of what your hunter or your warlock or your priest is specifically doing, some people will write up modifications. You would stick them there. Beast Mastery doesn't have any, so I can't really help you with that, but this is where being in contact with your class and spec community can be helpful. Now, all the reports, you can actually change the name. So I could call this like QuickSim 1 if I wanted to remember it. If you notice, so I have an account with Raidbots. It's free to have an account. And if you have an account, you can change these report names and then it will save them for you. So you can see how bad I am at changing the names. So I've got a whole bunch of gear compares and I don't know what they are. But if you like to keep track of things, then bounce back and look at them again. This is the best way with the report name. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick run quick sim. Oh no, I don't have relics. Okay. I'm actually happy that this happened because I had that whole computer restart and I had just jumped into the game. Sometimes when you first get into the game, your relics, let's hop back to World of Warcraft, your relics will actually be blank for a little bit while it's trying to load everything. If that happens, just run your SimC again. Copy it. And then we're going to move back to Raidbots. And I'm going to Control A and delete, and I'm going to repaste it. So now I hopefully have relics. So that's actually pretty cool that that happened. That's really the only glitch that I come across. Now, if you're following along at home, you'll notice that I really didn't have a queue. I pretty much just jumped right in there. And if you're doing this, you may have a queue. The difference is Raidbots does the Patreon just like a lot of other websites do. And I think for like $3 a month, you can jump ahead of the general population queue, which is what I do. I run a lot of sims. And I'll run sims. If I get an item on a boss, I'll run a sim before I get to the next boss to know if I should keep it and use it or I should hand it off to a teammate. That may not be your case. I am not selling Raidbots Patreon subscriptions here. I don't get a kickback if you guys all suddenly sign up. I'm just saying if you find yourself running a lot and it's within your budget to do something like this. For me personally, it's been really good. So what you have is you've got your report. It's going to show up if you have an account. You got your little report guy there. So you can always come back to this page. And you've got this DPS number at the top. Now, again, I lurk in the Hunter Discord, and I see people come in and they say, what's the best in gear? What should I wear this? Should I wear that? And they'll say, go sim yourself. And they'll run off. they'll sim themselves, they'll run back, and they'll say, I got this GPS number and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I can't get that high. Do I just need to get good? What's going on? Honestly, I've never been able to reach the CPS number. First off, we talked about the kind of fight that it's simming, right? You're literally standing there and doing nothing but concentrating on your rotation. I also want to show you a couple of other pieces of information so you have a better understanding of where this number is coming from. So we're using Raidbots, but the back-end engine behind Raidbots is Simulation Craft. It's a standalone program. You can download it for free. The problem with it is the interface is not that great. It's a lot of code and a lot of numbers and stuff like that. Where Raidbots, as you can see, it's pretty graphical. It's very easy to use. But it does generate the same reports that the Simulation Craft program would do. And I actually want to jump in, the reports right here. I want to jump in and I want to show you something. Now, you're going to see a ton of information. There's a lot of math going on here. Unless you're like super into it, you could spend a lot of time looking at all this stuff. But I'm going to assume that you don't care about my particular hunter. And we're going to drop down to this action priority list. I want to show you, okay, so we're in a fight where we never have to move. Our buddy is never going to run crap over top of us. We don't have to do anything. We are going to flask. We're going to use an augment rune. We're going to eat a feast or whatever the best food is for your class and spec. I'm actually going to remember to summon my pet before we pull the boss. And you're going to pre-pot. Okay, so all this stuff is happening in the simulation before you even do your first auto shot. And then later on in the fight, the simulation will intelligently use a second potion. I know for mine, it waits until I got a bunch of buffs kind of lined up and cooldowns ready to go, and then it'll pop that second potion. So that's what this is. And it's kind of neat too. You can come down here to the sample sequence and you can actually see the rotation that the simulation is using. And I like that the boss is named Fluffy Pillow. That's like my favorite thing. But you can actually see like this is what it's doing and this is the exact order that it's doing it. And in a very mathematically precise manner. It's never missing a cooldown. It's never hitting fat fingering one button over the other. They never accidentally turtle shell themselves and can't hit anything anymore. So just keep in mind that this number, I treat it as a comparison. Like this is where I could be. I can't really be there. But if I'm here and I make a change, does it get better or does it get worse? And that's really what I use that number for. I don't stress a lot about the actual number. Now, I do try to do my best, but my best is not going to be standing still and being mathematically perfect.